lens, we just need to take a deep breath because this is one of the nastiest crypto markets I have seen in many years. We've just got altcoins capitulating everywhere you look. There is nowhere where there is a little bit of green for us to have some hope. You've got Bitcoin down after a CPI reading has further made markets worse, and today inflation is still high despite the interest rate hikes we have seen. Fantom down 30% today. Luna, of course, we've been covering it, down 90%. Things such as Algorand down 15%. Solana down 20%. What is going on? Are we going to get a relief bounce? I'm seeing a few green candles as I'm recording this, but CPI did not come in too nicely today. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through some key levels and explain what is going on, because there's this contagion effect that is now starting to spread to other coins based on what was going on with Terra Luna. So we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to understand what is going on. If you like my videos, consider hitting the like button and subscribing if you like my perspective. Also, this video is brought to you by OKX. Yes, check out OKX. If you want to trade 200 plus cryptos, NFTs, get involved in DeFi, you can buy crypto in minutes using your credit card or any other payment method. Check out the link below to head over to OKX and get yourself set up on that exchange. Now, as you can see, guys, Fantom is the chart I'm looking at right now as we speak, and you can see we fell as low as 27 cents. We're getting a bit of a relief back now to support, which was 38. We just didn't really hold up as support at all. We just capitulated straight through. Now we're trying to get a relief. Is this just a dead cat bounce? Are we going to continue to head down to the downside? There is no point looking at TA right now, guys. Technical analysis is irrelevant. What are you trying to do at this point? Are you trying to get an entry? Are you trying to get an exit? I mean, if you were going to exit, I made it very clear on Fantom that if you weren't ready for this downward market, 122 to 125, I made clear videos saying if you're not holding this for years, you need to let go of this project. And now you can see things getting really bad. But this is not Fantom related. This is not Solana related. I can show you Solana, similar pattern, right? I can show you Algorand, similar pattern. I can show you ApeCoin, not that it matters. You shouldn't really be investing in ApeCoin in this type of market. But ApeCoin, similar pattern. I can show you Avalanche, similar pattern. So anybody saying, oh, this is a bad coin, this is a bad coin, no. This is a wider contagion risk, and we need to understand what is going on, because there's a lot of parallels between what's going on here and what's happened in traditional finance markets. For those of you who are around, as you guys know, I was an ex-investment banker trading at an investment bank, and the whole financial crisis was an absolute disaster. It was before I started trading. But I remember it very clearly. When Lehman Brothers was struggling, there was this contagion risk where other banks got tarnished with the same brush. Now, the difference back then were many banks were stress tested heavily. Okay, so they had been through some regulatory approaches. They had regulatory guidelines. The problem with crypto is there is not much of that. And we've been calling out for this for quite a while. And in fact, I managed to dig out a couple of videos dated back to September 2021, where I spoke about this exact thing. Let's see if I can get this played. So this was dating back to September 2021. Have a listen. Exactly he's doing. So let's touch upon stablecoins. So we know in the normal fractional reserve banking system, you get the rehypothecation of assets all the time, right? You deposit your money into a bank and it gets lent and lent and lent. And if ever you were to do a run on the bank, you know, if everybody did that today, you would not get your money, okay? And this same rehypothecation problem is what was worrying me with other ecosystems. So you guys know I held some Luna, but I would never participate in staking it on Anchor Protocol. A lot of people would be like, why? That's free money, 18%, 19%, 20%. It just seemed too good to be true. And I was worried at the lack of collateralization on that ecosystem. And you could see this is how it's playing out. Now, another clip here, which I can dig out for you guys. Not great for Coinbase investors. I myself am an investor in Coinbase. However, that being said, and I've got to be honest, even though I am a Coinbase investor, this is better for the wider market. We know this rehypothecation problem can bring crypto down, right? If this is not managed correctly and the right type of regulation, which is clearly communicated, is pushed through, this can have terrible consequences for the crypto market. Because we don't know how much this money is being lent out, right? That's the rehypothecation. You're putting 100 Bitcoin, you're borrowing against 100 Bitcoin, you're earning your 4% APY, they go give that 100 Bitcoin to somebody else, and they go give it to somebody else, and they go give it to somebody else. That's how we got to the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008. And so we need the proper regulations around this. We need to know So there you have it, guys. And excuse the old audio, excuse the fact that back then I didn't know how to keep a mic closer to my mouth, but the point remains the same. The red flags were there. They were there that the money was being rehypothecated and there was no proper collateralization. If you watch my interview with Michael Kong yesterday, the CEO of Fantom, he alludes to this too, and he says that his view on it, and you can go watch the full interview to get the full verbatim message that he says, but his view is that stablecoins, algorithmically backed stablecoins, will not work unless they're over-collateralized, not just collateralized, over-collateralized. You have more collateral than is being lent out, and I completely agree. I think that is the way to go forward, and it's the only way really to go forward. And this is one of the kind of failings with the Terra Luna ecosystem. Now, the important thing that we're seeing is this contagion is spreading. This fear is not only leading Bitcoin to fall, but it's leading all altcoins to fall. And on top of that, it's happening at a time where crypto was already capitulating due to other fears, Ukraine, Russia, the cocktail of ingredients right now. You could not write this in a book, but this is also when these actors choose to attack, right? So you already had crypto on its knees, right? Holding barely 30,000 regardless because of the Russia-Ukraine war, inflation fears of stagflation and a global slowdown, recession. We've been covering that off daily. But on top of that, you get a bad actor who seizes the moment, right? Who seizes the moment and goes and attacks an ecosystem which kept its back door open in Terra Luna. And naturally, that is going to lead to a lot of fears, a lot of contagion. We had Janet Yellen talking yesterday about the need for more regulation on stablecoins, which, by the way, as I said in September's video, I agree with. We need regulation to stop things like this from happening. Long term, it's better for crypto. Short term, it's not. Nobody likes regulation, right? It makes things a bit more difficult to progress. But long term, it's better. What's the point of having 12 months of Luna going up for this to happen, you know, when the exploit is found? Regulation is better. And you saw in that video which I showed you, the Coinbase lend program was actually cancelled by the SEC, which has caused the Coinbase share price to fall. They were relying on that to bring in more revenue, and people are now moving across to DeFi and not using Coinbase because they're getting 18% on Anchor. How did that work out for them, right? So longer term, regulated practices long term are good because it slows you down, but it means you can run your marathon instead of sprinting. And that is what we're seeing now, is we're starting to see that real contagion effect really sweeping through markets. And to add to that, we then got our CPI reading. And of course, it had to go and be negative, right? We had to go and get a weaker CPI reading. So to fill everybody in on what we just saw for our CPI reading, let's just come over to this one and click on CPI. And you will see that we got our core inflation rate came in at 8.3. So let's see if I can get that up. I've got it right here. You can see that came in at 8.3, which is this number here. Now, the expected figure was 8.1. So yes, we've got a slight inflection point down. You can see that. But the market was expecting the reading to come in a little bit more. So inflation is getting a little bit, the rate of change is slowing, but not as fast as the markets wanted. And if we look at the month-on-month figure, last time they reported it was 1.2, which was huge. And this is the bit that the Fed were really focused on bringing to the downside. And they did manage to, but again, 0.3 versus the 0.2 expected. And even worse on the core inflation came in higher than expected. Again, was expected at 6%. It came in at 6.2%. 0.4% month-on-month came in at 0.6% month-on-month, which is a big difference. 0.2 is a big difference on your month-by-month figures, because when you analyze that, that's a 2.5% move. Okay, so that's a big move on CPI, and the markets weren't happy, and you can see that hit, right? The S&P initially sold off. We're seeing a little bit of a rebound now. You can see Bitcoin following and performing the exact same patterns, and the market now needs to stabilize, needs to figure out what's going on. This is good that we managed to bounce off 30. I mean, just literally when I started recording this video, we were sitting at 29,000. It's managed to bounce quite quickly up to 30,000. This is hugely volatile market right now. And the market just wants to decide what's going on. But you can definitely see altcoins are not in a happy place right now. Again, just reminding you, Fantom sitting here trying to pick some support back up from 38. And the only way these altcoins are going to pick up some support is if Bitcoin shows some strength. And the only way Bitcoin is going to show some strength is if the market shows some strength. And at the moment, we're seeing the market slightly just confused, right? It opened up really red after the CPI reading. As they start to read the report, they realize, hang on, inflation has come down. I mean, yes, it's not come down as much as we wanted, but if you actually look into the report, which I did a little bit earlier, you can see certain pieces of the report led to quite a bit of the increase that we were expecting from our expectations. So for example, the month-on-month core inflation figure, like I just shared to you, was 0.2% higher. Now, you could account for the majority of that just by looking at the airline fares and the transportation costs. But of course, airline and transportation costs are heavily dependent on energy, which we know gas prices have been going up due to other factors which are more transitory, such as the Russia-Ukraine war and some supply chain issues as well. So when you kind of take into account some of those nuances, the picture is not as bad as just a clear miss, but the headline figure was a miss. So we're not going to get, we didn't get the straight up rally, but hopefully markets can digest that and say, hang on, 0.25% interest rate works, 0.5% has just been applied, let that kick into gear, and inflation really should start ticking down, right? It shouldn't be run away like it was in previous months, which is good. So we'll continue to monitor this. I mean, the contagion is absolutely absurd. I mean, it's just frustrating, and it's almost like a moment to kind of just to rant, really, because we've seen this. Crypto is all about being better than the existing establishment. But unfortunately, on this case, we've been shown up by the establishment, by the status quo. And I'll make this very clear. This may not be popular, the fact that I'm saying this, but it's true. Right? We saw this happen time and time again with Wall Street, making the same mistakes, over-collateralizing, rehypothecation problems, right? We saw how junk assets and how they were continually being resold and relent and relent and relent. How are we going down the same route? How are we not carrying out these stress tests? How has Do Kwon built such a huge system? And I admire him for his intelligence, but how has he built such a huge system without anybody questioning the stress tests, without anybody saying, why is there not an automatic reserve system in place? I mean, these are all basic things for a protocol that big. It's not a small protocol. If it's a smaller one, fine, you can get away with it. But the fact that this was a top 10 currency, which has just been rug pulled, like we've seen with Luna, I mean, there's no getting away from this, right? This is bad, and it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of crypto investors. It has regulators saying, "I told you so." It brings more negative attention to crypto. This really isn't great for the space, and hopefully we can learn from this. And ultimately, longer term, we know we're going to be okay. Longer term, this is good, but short term, we have to understand that people's livelihoods are at stake, right? And whether we like it or not, and as much as I tell them not to, people do invest more than they're willing to lose, and they end up placing crazy amounts of capital into certain plays which they've not done research on, and therefore they get hurt. Now, some of that responsibility has to sit with you. It has to sit with you, because if you've been educating yourself in crypto and you still have crazy allocations in certain coins, then that's a problem, right? That's going to be a problem. You need to be diversified. But even in a market like this, even a diversified crypto portfolio is hurting right now. It's just hurting across the board. But you've got to see the course. These are the moments of capitulation when fear and greed index is really struggling, that you're either going to make or break yourself. I mean, we're sitting at 12 now today. I'm sure that's going to go lower maybe tomorrow, depending on how today finishes. But now, literally, as we're speaking, Bitcoin coming into the green now, starting to recover, interestingly, on the shorter time frame charts. Can this recover? We'll keep an eye on this. No doubt I'll come with another video in a few hours. But for now, those are my thoughts. It's just it was kind of, a bunch of really silly decisions made in the lead up to this happening, and the warnings were there, and I made those videos, albeit not many people watched them, back in September 2021, and those kind of come to fruition, right? And if you don't do things the right way, if you don't build the building blocks in the right way from the outset, then that is the risk. And unfortunately, that puts a bad brush on all of crypto, and now you've got projects and protocols which haven't done anything wrong, which have been doing their own thing, getting tarnished by the same brush. Double digit falls on many good projects today. I mean, the only ones kind of holding up a little bit better are some of the older projects that have been around for a long time. That's the pattern I'm seeing. So the likes of Cardano, Ethereum are holding up a little bit better. Dot, Matic, Link, those types of projects, BNB holding up a little bit better. But any of the newer projects which were in the top 10, like an Avalanche, like a Fantom, like an Algorand's not in the top 10, but Algorand, even Solana down, recovering a little bit, but it was down as much as 20+%. It's a very challenging market, but the reality is we don't want to be panic selling. If you're in your high conviction plays like you were supposed to be, then you shouldn't be panic selling on all of these. If you realize a loss now and capitulate, that is ultimately what the people wanted to happen. They wanted to run the market down, get everybody to capitulate. They're the ones who are going to buy back in and run this back to the next bull market, at which point they'll then sell to you again, and it repeats the cycle. As always, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. As always, as you can tell, there's a lot going on in the market and a lot of kind of thoughts to reflect on, and I could sit here an hour talking about my opinions on the market. But take a walk in this crazy day. Do something different. No point sitting there watching your portfolio for the whole time. As long as you understand what is going on and what is moving the market, do what you need to do in the market, and then go for a walk. Shut your laptop and keep it moving in for the rest of your day. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, smash up the like button and subscribe. Don't forget to check out OKX, links in description. Get yourself set up on that exchange, one of the best exchanges with the best fees and great selection of different cryptos and NFTs. Get yourself set up, links in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget, Michael Kong interview. Go and watch that. I know it was released yesterday in the midst of all this lunar craze, but take a step back, have a cup of coffee or some bedtime listening, and listen to Michael Kong's interview. He also covers off his thoughts on the lunar and stablecoin issue, plus many great things in terms of the future of Fantom. Go give that a listen. Let me know what you think. It's important that when you have investments in projects, you listen to fundamentals, you zoom out, and you actually focus on what are these pioneers building? What are these tech guys? What are these CEOs? What are these visionaries actually building? Because this is just day-to-day price action, right? And you could do the same price maneuvers on Tesla or on any other project, but the reality is you need to focus on what is being built, because that's what you're investing in, the future change that we're all looking to achieve. Smash the like, guys, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.